Hi, welcome back to the Dreaming Littles podcast. Today I wanted to talk about my why I became a sleep specialist. As a young adult, let's say when I got into my late teens and 20s, as I started dating, I never really dreamed about a wedding. I didn't know what my perfect dress or being a princess or any of that. I did dream about one day having a family and being a mom and being a family unit. I grew up with a younger brother and a mom and a dad in a nice neighborhood and a nice place, a nice little household. And my brother and we still are, we're buddies. And, we went on little family vacations together, played together. And that's what I knew. And that's what I envisioned for my future and for my life. I knew I wanted to get married first and then have a family. So I found that the boys that I dated or the men that I dated, I would sort of know if they were the right one if I could picture having a family with them. And when I met my husband, I could picture a family together. So I knew that he was the one. And lucky for me, I was the one too. And we got married. We had a beautiful wedding. And a year and a half later, we had my son. And I was a mom. I'd always dreamed of it. I was so happy to be pregnant. I was so happy to have a baby. And then I brought him home and very quickly was disappointed that this wasn't what I had dreamed it would be. He cried all the time and he didn't sleep. And he was not just a happy baby that just slept all day and all night and cooed and just was so sweet. I mean, he was a beautiful baby and he still is. He's almost 8 now and I love him, of course. But I found myself in this weird place. Like, this is what I've always wanted. And here it is. And I don't like it. This is hard. And the majority of my anxiety surrounded him sleeping or not sleeping. Didn't sleep well at night unless he was sleeping on my chest, which meant I hardly slept at all. My husband, of course, tried to help out also, but my son just wanted mom. And for naps, the only way I could get him to sleep was in here, in the nursery, with him swaddled like this, rocking and patting in a dark room for hours. I would joke with my husband, I'm going into the dungeon now. And I felt helpless and powerless and was not happy. This is not what I envisioned motherhood to be. And I get it. It's hard for everyone. Being a parent is hard for a mom and a dad. But for someone like me that had dreamed my whole life about being a mom, not my whole life, let's be real, but my whole adult life at least, I felt guilty about being disappointed, about having this thing that I had always wanted, this baby, and being so unhappy. And about 3 months, I was about to get ready to go back to work. And I was actually really excited to go back to work because, he just cries all day, doesn't sleep. He was going to start daycare. And my mom was like, you better figure out how to get him to sleep because they're not going to hold him for 2 hours at a time. And she was right. So I was talking with one of my neighbors about it, and she recommended an amazing sleep specialist to me. I reached out to her. She was wonderful. She had a great meeting with me over the phone. And then we scheduled some time for her to come over on a Saturday to help me with his naps. And I paid her, I think it was like $400. And my husband and I to this day say it was the best $400 we have ever spent. She came and sat with me. She gave me all the tools I needed. And we put my son down for his nap. He slept for 42 minutes like clockwork, woke up, and we watched him on the monitor. And she told me, wait, hang on. Let him settle. And sure enough, he did. And he went back to sleep for another 50 minutes. So got almost 2 hours. And then he had a little awake time with us, gave him a bottle. She talked me through some other stuff to try, put him back down for his nap. She sat with me through that nap, and he slept for 2 hours. And I was so amazed and so shocked and so grateful. It was wonderful. So the next couple days, we implemented what she taught me for naps, and he would sleep 2 hours, wake up for a bit, happy as could be, go down for another 2 hours, wake up for a little bit, happy as could be, another 2 hours. He was sleeping great. His naps were wonderful. So after the second day, my husband suggested, let's try it at night. And I was like, I don't know. Well, night's a lot longer than the days. But I also knew that something had to change. He couldn't keep sleeping on me. At the time, we actually had him sleeping in a rock and play. And anyone who knows of a rock and play knows that they were discontinued because they're extremely dangerous for overnight sleep or sleep in general. They're not meant for sleeping. And babies were not being strapped in them and rolling over and suffocating. So super dangerous. So my sleep specialist was like, you got to get him out of that rock and play. And I knew I had to get him out of the rock and play. So 2 days after we had sleep trained him for his naps, we decided to try it overnight. We went through all the steps. We did a bedtime routine, put him down, shut the door, and then watched on the monitor. He started to cry, and we checked in on him and then shut the door again. And then I started to cry. I went and sat in the garage and just cried and cried and cried. And my husband took over from there. And about what felt like hours later, but was actually only about 10 to 15 minutes, he came out and said, he's asleep. And I looked up at him sitting on the stairs in the garage and was like, what? He said, he's asleep. And I said, oh my gosh, it worked. I was shocked. So we came back in and had a lovely evening. He slept for 5 hours. Woke up to feed, gave him a bottle, put him back down, slept another 3 hours. Woke up to feed, put him back down, and he woke up, and then I went in and woke him the next morning. And it was the best night I had since he was born. And that started it. From then on, I was a better mom. He was a happier baby. I was a better parent. I was happier. My anxiety lessened significantly. And everything was, don't get me wrong, parenting's still hard, but the sleep was figured out. And that made a huge difference. And we still had our ups and downs. We still had our off nights. But overall, each night was better than the night before. And it was such a wonderful feeling. And I thought to myself, there must be more parents going through this. And so I wanted to help other parents too, which is why I decided to take classes, get certified. When my son was about 2 years old, I took classes online and got certified. After I passed all my classes, I started dreaming littles. And fast forward to a few years later, my son was 5 and I had our daughter. And she was a preemie, so I was very anxious about her sleep. She also had reflux, so I was really anxious about her spitting up and choking on it and not being able to breathe. And like all the anxieties that came around again. Even though I'm a sleep specialist and I know better, I've worked with tons of parents. I know the steps. I know the process. I still found myself with my daughter reaching out to my previous sleep specialist to help walk me through it. But at 3 months, we had her sleep trained. She would go to sleep on her own, wake up, feed, go back to sleep, wake up, feed, go back to sleep, and then wake up for the morning. And then over time, we worked on, when she was ready, we worked on dropping those feedings until it was 1 feeding a night. And then it was no feedings a night. And she would nap great. She still naps great. She's two and a half, almost 3. And she sleeps for 12 hours at night. And she naps for 2 hours. So It's something I'm really passionate about because I found so much of my early parenthood experience revolved around my anxiety over them sleeping and me not sleeping and my husband not sleeping and all of us not sleeping and everyone being grouchy and everyone being upset. And so I formed Dreaming Littles to help other parents through the same process and to be that guide they want and need, like my sleep specialist was for me. And so if your baby's sleep is hard and you want help, please reach out. I'd be happy to help you. I'd love to help. It's something I really enjoy doing, and it does get better. Whether you reach out to me or not, I want you to know that you're doing a great job, and parenting is hard and everything will get easier. Thanks for listening. See you next time.